Goes in podcast, stream, whatever you want to call it. How we all doing, guys? Obviously, day off yesterday. Obviously back today. Back today. Obviously other day, Man United, drawing 2-2 with Leon. Frustrating result. Obviously all the pressure was on Andre Onana. And again, rightfully so, man. I think the two mistakes that Onana did, the first one, obviously clear mistake. And the second one, I would say, bit unfortunate, but again, any top class keeper saves that for me. And I think Onana definitely has to take some criticism in that sense. And I think that going forwards, again, let's be honest with you, man. Let's be honest. Andre Onana is a massive problem at Man United. Do I think he's the problem? I don't. I think there are other pressing issues that United need to look at. I think, as I said on my latest stream, Ruben Amorim, for me, I'm done with him. And I do think that Amorim does need to be moved on at the end of the season. I think if United was to, as I mentioned, win Europa, then I would expect Amorim to be in the helm, at the start of the season. But as I said, the team that he picked for me was inexcusable. I do think that Amorim does need to have a good look at himself and think, the likes of Rasmus Højlund, for me, to the end of the season, has to be made a bench player. I would even give Cheeto a game, because I think Cheeto can do no worse than what Rasmus Højlund's doing. Because it's quite clear that, Joshua Zirkzee, and again, with Amorim's already said he doesn't see Zirkzee as a 9. He sees Zirkzee as a 10. But yet, the last couple of games now, Zirkzee has found himself on the bench, coming on in the 9 position. So, again, it's a bit odd what Amorim's doing. And for me, as I said, Amorim, for me, is on a tight rope now. And I personally think, if United have anything about them, Ineos have anything about them, they move him on and try and look for another manager. I know the finances are going to be a bit difficult to do this, but I just don't see Man United progressing with this manager. He's too stubborn in his ways. This 3-4-2-1 system as well, I don't believe works. I think the kind of players that you need, he ain't going to be getting, because he has to earn the right to get more players for his system. A sign of a good coach for me is to get the best out of what you've got, and quite clearly Amorim isn't doing that. So, unless he shows this season that he can win Europa League, and get 2 or 3 players in the summer, if I'm Ineos, I'm not banking on this guy for sure. So again, I just want to see how this second leg goes, because this Leon team, isn't a great team. They have got some individuals in there that will cause problems. Ryan Cherky, who didn't have a great game, but was still a threat. Mikatadze as well. Obviously, Lacazette come on. And you got Thiago Almada as well. These guys have got ability, and they can cause United problems. But you would expect United, even in the poor form that they're in, to win this second leg. And as I said, United now have 2 crucial games coming up. For me, the Newcastle one, how he's going to line up in this game is going to be crucial. And for me, as I said, if he plays a strong team and United get beat, and then these same players that play go into the second leg, it's going to be a problem, I believe. So George Floyd says stolen car. Yeah. funny that, isn't it? But yeah, guys, big up yourselves for coming on anyway. As I said, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. But for me, Amorim needs to play. I still think he needs to play a strong team. I know people might be saying, he's got to rest key players, etc. But United, for me, can't afford to lose this game, because if they lose this game and then they don't go through in this second leg, you know, how does Amorim come back from this? Because United can find themselves as low as 16th, you know, if other results go their way. So for me, United need to win this game, or well, I would say at least get a draw. And I think a lot of it is going to depend on the team he picks. The team I'd pick against Newcastle, I mean, again, you know, Onana, do I expect Onana to be dropped? I think he should be dropped. Whether Amorim sticks with him, I don't know. But I think if he's going to play Onana in the second leg, I would say to play him in this game, you know, because at least a bit of confidence. Because if Man United was to get a draw at least, you know, that might give Onana a bit more confidence going into this game. But I would say if he's going to play Bayinde, then play Bayinde in this game, and then play Bayinde in the Europa League second leg as well. So I would go just based on that. I think Onana does have to come out the team in terms of, you know, the couple of mistakes he has made, because you've got to kind of set a precedence that it's not acceptable. So I think Bayinde should be in goal. The back three is going to be interesting, you know, because Matthias de Ligt, I believe, is still out. And I would rest Lenny Yoro, because I think Lenny Yoro needs to be fresh for the second leg. But then again, so does Mazraoui, because Mazraoui has played a lot of games. And I would say that out of the two of them, I'd probably say Mazraoui out of the two of them has to be rested most. So I would say Lenny Yoro, right side centre-back. I think Luke Shaw will play. So I think Luke Shaw should be playing left side centre-back. And I think Harry Maguire will be the centre-back. So I think it should be Maguire, Yoro, and Luke Shaw at the back. And the two wing-backs, again, you're looking at Patrick Dorgu, and you're looking at Diogo Dalot. Big up Leanne for coming on. Big up George Floyd. So Sashu says his nose is huge. Okay, so Sashu, you're watching me, man. So what I would say, man, you know, if your life is that sad, then that's a problem that you got to deal with, man. But coming on there hating, you know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not gonna rise to it, man. So, as I said, if you ain't got nothing positive to say, then as I say, you're not forced to be here, man. So you can see yourself out of the stream. But big up anyway. So yeah, I would say the three at the back: Luke Shaw left side centre back, Harry Maguire in the centre, and then I'll say Lenny Yoro. I think Mazraoui has to be rested. Obviously, Matthias de Ligt is out injured as well, so there's not really much change there. You know, I think one of them two wing backs have to be rested, but again, there's no other options there unless he's going to play someone from the youth. You know, I want to see Mantato get more game time, but I think away at Newcastle, that's not going to happen. So I think you're looking at Dalot and Dorgu being the two wing backs, which I believe for the second leg is going to cause problems for United, because I think both players will be worked, and I think they're going to see a lot of tired legs as well. I would say the two in midfield. I think Casemiro has to be rested, and Casemiro has to play in his second leg. So Manuel Ugarte I'd play, and I think he's going to play Bruno in there as well. You know, I would have Bruno probably rested, but I can see Bruno playing alongside Ugarte in the midfield, and then the two in behind the striker. So for me, I want to see Cheeto get some more game time, but I don't see Cheeto playing. So I think he's going to go Rasmus Højlund as the striker. And I think Xerxes will play in the 10. And I think Xerxes will play with Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount will play from the right. And I think Xerxes will be playing as a left 10. And then I think Højlund will start through the middle, you know. And I think that's the way that they're going to go against Newcastle. I think, for me, Newcastle win the game. I would say I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle. I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle. I think Newcastle will definitely win this game. I don't see United, making any inroads in the result against Newcastle, especially being away from home. And obviously, all eyes will be on Thursday because if United don't win this game again, for me, the manager can't be he can't be here because the season that he's had so far with his team for me is unacceptable. And again, a lot of people are saying he hasn't got his players. A lot of people are saying that um, they're making a lot of excuses for Ruben Amorim. And what I would say is, again, Man United were 4 points off of the top four. So to find themselves in 13th position is unacceptable. So for me, I would say, they need to be winning this Europa League and having a finish at least in the in the top half. But I can't see them getting into the top half. Guys, listen. This is a football channel, so as I said, if you're coming in there to be negative, then as I said, you're not forced to be here. You're watching me, so obviously, again, if you guys don't enjoy the stream, then feel free to leave. You're not forced to be here. I only want people to hear that are serious, so I don't want no arguing in the chat. But if you don't want to be here and you're on here just to try and be negative, then as I said, see yourself out the stream, because I ain't got time for that. But big up everyone that wants to be here and everyone that wants to contribute to the channel. Big up yourselves. Obviously, I'm only a few short of 1K, and as I said, if you do enjoy the stream, make sure you smash that like button. Obviously, it helps to reach more people. And again, make sure you subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In, and give me your comments in the chat, guys. Big up to Dick Eaton. Yeah, big up for coming on, Dick. So yeah, man. As I said, I think yeah, big up, Dick, man. Big up. Sashu, listen. Ignore the comments in the chat. But as I said, if you're not gonna come on there and contribute to the channel, then you're not forced to be here. So as I said, my mod obviously is not on today, but he would have blocked you a long time ago. So if you don't want to be on there and contribute to the channel, then as I said, feel free to leave, man, because you're not forced to be here, But as I said, yeah, I'm gonna go Newcastle to win this game tomorrow, 2-0. I don't actually see United scoring tomorrow at St James's Park. I think Newcastle, they've had the added incentive as well of having players to rest. So I think Isak as well tomorrow. I think he's gonna get a goal. I think Anthony Gordon's actually back from injury as well, but Harvey Barnes has actually been playing decent. So I think, yeah, big up Kane Selden. So I think that midfield again of Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joel Linton, I think physically as well they're going to dominate United, and United are going to play Ugarte in there. And again, we know Ugarte with his ability on the ball isn't there. Obviously he's a dog in the midfield in terms of winning the ball back. Big up Zoe Harmon. Yeah, big up Zoe for coming on. So I think that, yeah, I think Ugarte will play in there, but I think physically he's going to get dominated by Joel Linton, Tonali, and Bruno Guimaraes. So, yeah, I can't see the game going too well, guys, if I'm honest with you. So, I'm going to say 2-0 Newcastle. And again, I think Man City winning today, I think last I saw, I think was 4-2. So, Man City, I believe now have got themselves back into the top four. But if Newcastle win this game tomorrow, Newcastle will have a game in hand as well on Wednesday against Crystal Palace. So yeah, I think for me, yeah, I think Newcastle will definitely fancy their chances of being in that top four. And again, United are going to have it all to do, man. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. But for me, all eyes are on Thursday. So yeah, so all eyes are on Thursday. So yeah, how do I think he's gonna line up on Thursday? I think He's gonna have to do something special because that game against Leon. I know everyone's gonna point to the fact that Onana made those two mistakes, but for me personally, I think that I think if those two mistakes didn't happen, Leon kind of dominated the game anyway. I think Leon, the way that they were passing the ball around, there are times where Leon could have got caught on the ball, but I think the way Leon were passing the ball around, they were causing problems for United. So I think personally, he needs to go with. I don't think the Ligt will be back. If the Ligt is back, if the Ligt is back, I would have the Ligt, Lenny Yoro, and Mazraoui as the three defenders. The wing backs again, there's not much option there, but I have Dorgu and Dallo. And then the two in midfield, he has to go for Bruno and Casemiro, because I don't want to see a case where he's playing Manuel Ugarte and United are not finding a way through Leon, and then you find yourself taking off Ugarte again to change the flow of the game. Because for me, it's going to be a sub wasted. So I want to see Bruno and Ugarte in there. Bruno and Casemiro in there. And then the three, I want to see Kobbie Mainoo play. I want to see Kobbie Mainoo playing, but I can see him playing the same Garnacho. I think Xerxes will start in the left 10 and he'll play Højlund. For me, I don't believe he needs to play Højlund because Højlund ain't offering absolutely anything, And again, end of the season, if Ineos have got anything about them, then they would move Højlund on. But I can see him playing Højlund, Garnacho, and possibly Xerxes as well. But what I would say is that if Xerxes is on the bench again for this second leg, I think Amorim needs to really have a serious think about a serious look, because to have Xerxes on the bench again for a crucial game, it will just show you that he doesn't really rate Xerxes, and Xerxes again with his recent form has been one of United's best attackers. So yeah, what I would say is I would like to see Xerxes. I mean, I want to see Xerxes playing through the middle as a striker, but this manager, again, he's contradicting himself, because 1 minute he says Xerxes isn't a 9, and the 2 times Xerxes played now, coming off the bench, he's been playing as a 9. I'd rather see Chido Obi there, but obviously he can't play in Europe. But I can see him playing. I mean, I'd even say Mount over Garnacho. I'd have Garnacho on the bench as an impact sub and probably start Mount. Christian Eriksen. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Christian Eriksen, Mason Mount, and Xerxes as the 9, or play Xerxes as the 10 and then have Mount, and then you might have to go for a Højlund. But the options ain't there. Or have Kobbie Eriksen, Kobbie Mount, and have Xerxes as the 9. There are options there. But what I would say is he has to pick the right team. And if he doesn't, and United don't go through, season's over. And again, question marks have to be put to this manager about a possible sacking end of the season, because it's going to be unacceptable. But yeah, but guys, big up for your questions. So we'll go to some of your questions. So big up L for coming on. L says Eubank or Ben. So for me, I'm going to go Chris Eubank Jr. For me, I know a lot of people have been saying about Eubank Jr., being the heavier guy, the most experienced. But I think people, what they're doing is that they're not really taking a good look at Eubank's boxing IQ, his ring skills. And although he is the bigger guy, but I think you need to look at how good Eubank Jr. is technically as well. And I think that Conor Ben, again, has that English bulldog grit to him, to his armory. But I think that, if we're looking at boxing skills, he's not gonna better Eubank Jr. for me. I think he's got a lot of passion, a lot of hunger to win the fight, Conor Ben. But I think Eubank Jr., he'll dominate the fight for me. I think the only way Conor Ben for me has a chance in this fight is the first couple of rounds. I think the first 3 rounds, if he can really put the pressure on Eubank Jr. and put him on the back foot, he might have luck. But Eubank's experience, his ring skills, I think will come to the front. So I don't know if Conor Ben will be able to trouble him in that sense, you know. But one thing's for sure, guys, it's going to be a great fight. And, you know, it's probably going to be the biggest British fight of all time. And definitely I can see number 2 happening. You know, I think personally, if Eubank was to, because obviously there's a rematch clause in there anyway. If Eubank Jr. was to win, you know, he probably wouldn't want to fight him again. But I think there will be a second fight for me personally, you know. And again, I think if Conor Ben wants to win, obviously Conor Ben's already said he wants to go back down to his normal weight. So he might think, look, I beat Eubank Jr., so I ain't got nothing to prove. But for me, I see Eubank Jr. winning this fight. But it's going to be an exciting fight. It's going to be a great fight. So, but yeah, big up yourself, El, for coming on. So yeah, but guys, any other questions before we wrap? Only a quick little stream. As I said, Man United playing tomorrow against Newcastle. For me, a must-win game for Man United, you know, and then obviously got the game on Thursday, Europa League against Lyon. And yeah, as I said, man, all eyes are on this game on Thursday, because if Man United don't go through this next round, I'll tell you now, it's gonna be a joke, man. And one of the worst seasons I've ever seen, you know, and this Premier League season as a whole isn't really great anyway, you know. Liverpool for me will definitely win the league. I know Arsenal, you know, will be buoyant as well going into the second leg against Real Madrid. But I don't know why, but I've got a sneaky feeling that Real Madrid they're gonna come back into this, you know. And I think, you know, as I mentioned previously, if Real Madrid can get an early goal, I think Arsenal could be up against it. As mad as that sounds, you know, being 3-0 up from the first leg, I still think Real Madrid have got a chance. I think it's the football heritage, you know, that crowd behind them as well, the expectation. I can see Real Madrid coming back, but I think all of it depends on the first 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes, the first 10 minutes, I'll say. If they get an early goal, then I think the pressure will be on Arsenal to withstand that. Big up Zoe Harmon. So Zoe says pineapple on pizza. Guys, what do you reckon? Pineapple on pizza? For me, 100%. You know, pineapple on pizza is the one. What do you guys think? Or do you think pineapple shouldn't be on a pizza? It should only be as a separate? Let me know, guys. I don't think there's nothing wrong with pineapple on a pizza personally. But yeah, what do you guys think? But yeah, guys, any other questions? Before we wrap? Any other questions? Big up, it's also coming on. Big up Barbara. So Barbara says pineapple on pizza. Nah. Listen, you can't hate on a pineapple on a pizza. I think there's nothing wrong with that. You know. What about anchovies? Anchovies on the pizza. What about anchovies? No. Anyone like anchovies on a pizza? Okay, so we've got anchovies, but no pineapple. Guys, while we're here, tell me what you think in terms of what's the best pizza. You know, I've jellied eels on pie. Jellied eels on pie. Nah, that's wrong, man. Any pie mash fans in there? Any pie mash fans? Jellied eels on a pie. Nah, throw that in the bin, man. We can't be doing that around here. Jellied eels on a pie. Nah. Next, you'll be telling me jellied eels and liquor. Is it liquor on a pie? Nah, man. Throw that stuff in the bin. That's a recipe for disaster. That, man. Honestly. Jellied eels on a pie. Nah, not for me, man. Not for me. Cheeseburger. Cheeseburger on a pizza. I mean, to be fair, I mean, if I'm looking at jellied eels on a pie or cheeseburger, to me it's got to be cheeseburger all day long. It's got to be cheeseburger all day long. Pie and mash. Yeah, some pie and mash fans in there, man. Definitely. I'm have to ban that word, jellied eels. I think I have to ban that. So Leanne says, will Man U win tomorrow? For me, I don't see it. I don't see it because Ruben Amorim's got a tough he's got a tough call to make because, as I said, the crucial game is on Thursday against Leon. And if he plays a strong team tomorrow and they don't get a result, and then they take the similar team to Thursday and they get beat, they're gonna be up against it. So, well, they're gonna be in trouble. And for me, as I said, I'm done with Amarim now anyway because he picks the wrong team too many times, and I think personally, he's gonna be in trouble. So, if he plays a changed team, again, I don't expect Man United to win the game, but everything's gonna be on Thursday. So, I think the score tomorrow will be 2-0 Newcastle. I don't see United scoring. And again, what's worrying for United is, a lot of the goals are coming, they're not really coming from the forward players. I know Xerxes scored the equaliser the other night. And again, Xerxes, one of United's best players, and needs to be starting. But I don't trust this manager to pick the right team. And as I said, any good coach will identify your best players, and he seems incapable of doing that. So I don't see them beating Newcastle tomorrow. Definitely, if he was at home, I'd go as far as saying a 1-0 win. Maybe a draw, but being away from home at Newcastle, I don't see it. I don't see it one bit. I think 2-0 is a fair scoreline. And again, I think he might change the team around a little bit. But as I said, all roads point towards Thursday, and that's the crucial game. So we will be there. But guys, big up yourselves for coming on. As I said, make sure you smash you smash that like button, and make sure you subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. If you haven't seen my my other streams, guys, my other content, make sure you check it out. As I said, there's some good content on there. As I said, if you haven't seen it, then you're missing out, guys, because I've got a lot of content on there, whether it's the shorts of me playing, whether it's some content I've done previously, obviously during the international break as well. I've done the best football players of the Premier League era, from goalkeeper to right back to left back, centre back, centre mid, wingers, number 10 and striker. So give that a check out. And again, it's in chapters as well. So if there's something that you wanna check out specifically, in particular, then have a check. Big up L. Yeah, big up L for coming on. So yeah, give it a check, guys. Big up yourselves as well. And put that notification button on as well so you can see when I go live. And as I said, big up everyone for coming on. Smash that like button. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow, guys. Guys, I'll be live tomorrow straight after the game. I'm going to do my match reaction to the Man United and Newcastle game. And as I said, it's a must-win game. It's a must-not-lose game, I would say, for Amorim. Because if they lose this game and they get beat against Leon, for me, he has to go. So we will be there. But big up yourselves. Smash the like button. Subscribe to my channel. Take it easy.